Okay. Great. I think we're live. So thank you everyone for joining me here today, and thank you for everyone who's watching. This is the 21st English Symposium that we're having on Cafetalk today. And today we have 4 tutors from all around the world to talk about different spring festivals and different ways to really celebrate spring. So yeah, we have 4 quite different presentations from all around the world. And yeah, these tutors will tell us, how in Nigeria, Sweden, Cambodia, and Spain, there's different ways to celebrate and welcome the seasonal change that is spring. So yeah, stay tuned. Watch the stream. If you have any comments, if you find anything interesting that a tutor is saying, please leave a comment on the right side of the screen. There's like a little comment box. You can also send tips to the tutors. That's also on the right side. If you have any questions regarding the live stream or the stream is not working, please reach out to us via the chat box on the lower right side of the website. And yeah, stay tuned for the content. あと日本語でもちょっとご挨拶させていただきます。本日は、英語シンポジウム21回目ですね。もうこんなに回数重ねてるのちょっと全然なんか実感がなかったんですけど、今日は春祭りについて4人の講師からちょっとプレゼンをしていただくんですけど、今回は4人の講師、ナイジェリア、スウェーデン、カンボジアとスペインといった形で、そうですね、春っていうものを迎えているのかを教えていただきます。で、最後にコメント投稿してくださった、方の中から5人に、そうですね、クーポンをくれさせていただきますので、クーポンポイントをプレゼントさせていただきますので、ぜひ右側のチャットボックスからコメントをお願いいたします。では、そうですね、何かご質問とかご不明点あれば、右下のチャットボックスからお声掛けいただければ、スタッフが対応させていただきますので、最後までぜひ見てってください。あと、こちらの配信後ほど YouTube にもアップされるので、ちょっとお時間ない方はまたそちらでもぜひ、最後まで見てください。はい。Well, thank you very much for everyone for joining me here today. Yeah, and I'll hand it right over to Chris, who's gonna get us started with his presentation today.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mayo. Hello, everybody. Let me just share the screen. Okay. Okay, good. Can everybody see this? So I'm going to tell you about a festival in a town called Elda. You can see it here. It's in the south of Spain. The population is about 50,000 people. So it's not a very big town. It's not a very big city, but it holds one of the most incredible festivals that I have ever seen, filled with color, costumes, dancing, noise. And the name of the festival is Moros and Cristianos. So it takes place at the beginning of June from a Thursday until the Monday. So about 5 days. And before I go on, I think I want to show you a video, just a very quick 1-minute video, because it will then help with everything I explain afterwards. It will make everything I talk about much easier and clearer to understand. So, could you play the video for the audience?
ciudadanos que cuando...
Okay. Good. Are we back?
Oh, yes.
So, oh, good. Thank you. Right. So, what does this festival celebrate? Basically, every town and city in Spain has a patron saint, and every town and city therefore has a festival in honor of that patron saint. And so, Elda's patron saint is San Anton. And one of the rituals that they do is that they carry him on their shoulders, they parade him through the streets, and they take him from one church to the other. The atmosphere is always incredible. I have just a very quick video to show you what the atmosphere is like in the churches. Okay, so you can see that it's a very lively, fun affair with lots of dancing. But the festival is not just about San Anton. It also acts out the history of the peninsula. So hundreds of years ago, the peninsula, the land was under the control of the Moors who had come up from Africa. And this is why you have so much Arabic influence in Spain. Think of the Alhambra Palace in Granada or the huge mosque that you have in Cordoba. And the Christians, they came down from the north and there were hundreds of years of battles, and so, what this festival does is that it uses that as a theme. You know, it's not about war and things, it's more of an excuse for everybody to dress up and have fun. And it doesn't take sides either, the festival. Some years the Moors win, and some years the Christians win. So they take it in turns. And everybody in the town has a role. You are either a Moor or you are a Christian. And so these are the different groups. You have different groups of Moors and different groups of Christians. And then everyone in Elda, in the town, they belong to a group. And these groups also have official clothes that you wear. And you wear these right from the beginning of the festival until the end of the festival. So everybody in the town, 50,000 people, are dressed up in their official clothes according to their group. If you are not wearing these clothes, you look strange because everybody, absolutely everybody, is wearing them. Um, they are not the only costumes that people wear because there are also parades too. And these parades show some of the most fantastic, incredibly detailed and beautiful costumes you will ever see. Can you see me? Look, there's me smiling. I'm very happy to be in the parade. Um, you saw some in the video too. I feel like the video didn't give it justice because they really are like incredible. And so these groups that I mentioned before, the Moors and Christians, they march through the streets. And the parade, it goes on for about 4 hours, but not just on one day. It takes place on the Saturday, the Sunday, and the Monday. And there are a kids' parades too on Friday and Saturday. So in total, there are between about 15 and 20 hours of parades, which is a huge amount of time. And they are accompanied by live orchestras as well, which are playing very loud, constant percussion and trumpets, and it's a very loud occasion, lots and lots of noise all the time. Um, so each group, they also have two captains, and they lead their armies on horseback. And these people probably have the most elaborate clothes of all. To be chosen as a captain is a huge honor as well. It's a massive honor for these people. Remember, everyone that takes part, they are all local people. And actually, many of them, they design the costumes themselves. and they give prizes for the best costumes of the year. I mean, what these parades do, they give the people of Elder a chance to shine, to kind of show themselves to their community, show them at their best in their full glory. And Elder is a shoemaking town as well. Lots and lots of shoe factories. And so they are very, very big on design and fashion. And so maybe you're wondering, how can a town which isn't that big, how can it organize itself so that thousands of people participate? Well, to understand how it works, you need to understand what a cuartelillo is. A cuartelillo. So this word, it doesn't translate into English because it doesn't exist in English. It's basically a place where groups of friends and families rent together, and it's used as a base, as a place for them to be throughout the whole festival. So each cuartelillo will have its own name and a big sign outside to say who they are. And people, they put their money together and they pay not only for the space, but also for all the food and the drink. And so they have professional caterers which cook and clean. And so during the festival, in your cuartelillo, all you need to do is just to relax and have fun. They are open all day, all night. You visit your friends' cuartelillos, your friends visit your cuartelillos. So imagine the scene. It's like having a town full of these open, kind of free houses for friends to visit each other, and everybody is dressed up. So it's very, very exciting and lively for the local people. And then each cuartelillo as well will also have a band. They will pay for a band to come and play music every evening. And so they come and play for people after they eat dinner. Here is a typical scene. And then the band will not finish there. They will then go out into the street, and all the members of the cuartelillo will follow them around and continue dancing. So again, imagine it's 3 o'clock in the morning. You are outside, and there are all these different groups of bands walking around town everywhere with all these people following and cheering and dancing everywhere they go. Um, so what else happens in the festival? It's not just drinking and eating. There are other things too. There are professional actors who act out. They do a theater production in the center of town to act out the battles, and there's also a shooting spectacle. All these different groups, they have representatives who shoot these very loud shotguns into the air. And I want to stress, it's not about the guns; it's about the noise in the south of Spain, and especially the community of Valencia. They love bangs and fireworks and noise, and these guns are so loud that when they go off, you can feel them like vibrating, and your whole body penetrates. And so imagine like 20 of these guns going off at the same time. The noise is incredible. Um, and they do this from 7 o'clock in the morning. So if you think you're going to get a good night's sleep, you're not. Everybody is woken up in the town by these guns. I think my favorite part of the festival is the opening ceremony. All of the orchestras that take part in the parade, they come together to outside of the town hall, and then all the residents also come to the center, and they all sing together as one the official song of the town, which is called Idea de mis amores. And the atmosphere is electrifying because everybody is singing, and it's the moment that the festival begins. It kicks off. Let me show you just 10 seconds of what it's like. Uh, so everyone is obviously very, very happy that their festival is about to begin. Um, so what is it that makes this festival so special? Let me finish by talking about why it is so special. Um, I think first of all, there is a real sense of freedom. There are no cars in the street, no routine, no work hours. All businesses and schools are closed. So life's obligations just stop for everybody. So it's about switching off from your troubles. It's about remembering that you are alive and that life is there to enjoy as well. But I think for me personally, it's a demonstration of what amazing things and a strong sense of community uh, can achieve. So everybody takes part, and this sense of community is what brings everybody together, and the results are spectacular. For such a small town to have something so well organized where everyone comes together, it shows what a sense of community really can achieve. So that's it. That's Moros and Cristianos. You should come and visit, and you can come to my cuartelillo.
Thank you so much, Chris. I really love the insight into that, and it looks so fun, and it would be so like I feel like it's such a bucket list thing to go and like
Yes.
experience that. So definitely on my list now for sure.
Yes.
And yeah, it just seems like really good vibes. And like everything about it, the costumes. What would you say is your favorite part about it?
Definitely the opening ceremony, because there is such a buzz in the air. Everybody is very excited. It's about to begin. Um, and I think it's that moment that everybody is singing together as one. I remember my parents came to visit me, and they didn't know what they were in for, and they were just blown away by the atmosphere. And I remember my dad saying, "Oh, it feels like I'm in a James Bond film or something."
It makes sense though. Yeah, it does look like that sort of background for sure. We also got a couple of comments regarding your presentation about how cute and how colorful all the costumes are. One person wrote the costumes are really beautiful and realistic. Someone also asked whether your group slash team designed the costumes or like how is that process?
So it's an industry here, because the
Mm,
Moors and Christians festival, it doesn't just take place in Elda. It takes place in lots of towns in the province. Elda is probably one of the most well-known versions, but because there are parades that take place in many towns, there is a kind of industry of costume design for these parades. And so either people design them themselves, by obviously professional designers, or they look somewhere else and to other companies that will design them for these festivals.
I see. So that kind of sounds like a year-long process. So like even after the festival, you'd probably be prepping and designing towards the next year, right?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, it's not just a 4-year event. It's a real kind of year-long process, because there's the costumes, there's the cuartelillos. People use these cuartelillos all year round. Halfway through the year, the winners of the parades, they do another they parade again through the streets, they do another procession. There's things related and connected to this festival that take place all year round. Absolutely.
I see. Thank you. Then we got a couple more comments. One person wrote, I think that all local people like taking part in it makes it really special. That's so amazing. Thank you for sharing. And then someone else wrote, the festival seems to be for the locals, but like how can tourists enjoy them? Is it by watching the parade or what would you say?
Yeah, I mean it's it's listed as one of the kind of official tourist things that you can do. The parades in themselves are definitely worth coming to see as a tourist because they really are very impressive. And then there are a lot of the events are things that take place in the streets in for the public. So you have the opening ceremony, you have the gun shooting, you have the theater productions, the parades, and then the only thing which is more for the locals are the cuartelillos. But even so, people are so kind of open and happy to talk to everybody, and everyone is so happy that as soon as you start talking to someone there, they will instantly invite you to their cuartelillo. They will say, "Come with me," and they will take you to their cuartelillo. They will give you a beer to drink, and they'll give you something to eat. And so as if you are open to just talking to people, then without a doubt you will get dragged into some kind of party or cuartelillo that you can enjoy with other people,
I see. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, you just have to get there and then you'll kind of, yeah, make friends really
and then see
fast.
what happens.
Yeah, see what happens. That's so nice. Okay, let's address, I think, the last comment we got regarding this presentation. So this person wrote, I wonder what most people there give up the job for the festival. I think they mean perhaps, is this like a public holiday or like do people have usually get time off? Like, do like businesses that aren't like eateries or like restaurants close for that, or what's sort of the vibe there?
Well, this is a phenomenon that I've only seen in Spain. I'm sure it happens in other countries too, but because do you remember I said that each town and city have their own patron saint and they have a festival for that in honor of that saint? Well, every town and city will have a bank holidays for those days. So it is a bank holiday, but it's not a Spanish bank holiday. It's only a public holiday for that town.
Oh, it's a
Um,
local level bank
so it's a
holiday.
local public holiday. So really every business does close unless obviously you live in Elda but you work in another town, in which case you have to try and get those days off. But other than that, all businesses shut up. Even restaurants close too,
Oh,
because people
really?
don't people don't need to go to restaurants. They have their cuartelillos, so it's
See.
literally everything shuts. Um, which is what makes it so special as well.
Yeah, that's wonderful to hear. I love it when, yeah, they just decide, no, we're just closing everything down for this and like keep doing that. Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing. I think we will move on to the next presentation now. But if anyone else has any questions, or like any comments, for Chris, please let me know. And so next up, we'll have Steph's presentation. Let me share the screen.
Hi, Mayo. Hi,
Hi.
everybody. Okay, my name is Stephanie. I go by Teacher Steph on Cafetalk. Okay, so my presentation this morning is about one of the most popular festivals in Nigeria, and it's not just the most popular, but it's actually the first festival that was established in Nigeria. And ever since it began, it has gained a lot of prominence and recognition by national and international bodies. Just in 2017, the festival was approved by the United Nations, and it's a very, very exciting festival. So the festival is called Agugun Fishing Festival. Okay, so can you help me with the next slide, please? Okay, thank you. Okay, so the Agogo Festival is the way of life of the people of Kebbi State. Kebbi State is a state in the northern part of Nigeria, and the tribe in that part of Nigeria is called Hausa. So if you're from Kebbi State, for example, you'll be an Hausa person. Okay, so the festival preserves tradition and promotes conservation. Tourists from around the world come to attend this festival. The annual festival takes place in February and marks the end of the farming season. So in Nigeria, we have two seasons peculiarly. We have the rainy season and the Hamatan season. So most times in February, the Hamatan season is rounding off and the rainy season is beginning. So whenever it's raining season, it's time the rivers are full, there are fishes everywhere, and then it marks the end of the farming season. So the festival is a 4-day cultural event. It begins with an agricultural show, water sports, traditional Kebawa entertainment. This is one of the highlights of the festival. And then it ends with a spectacular fishing competition in the Metafadan River. Okay, so this fishing competition is usually one of the things people look forward to during the festival. Aside from the Kebawa entertainment and then the agricultural show, Kebbi State is a state where there's a lot of agriculture. People produce a lot of things. People go to their farmlands to plant different food crops. So during the festival, a lot of people come in with their harvest to display on the festival day. And then there are people that do the Kebawa entertainment. We're still going to see it as I go on in the presentation. Okay, so let's talk about Agogo. So Agogo is a town located in Kebbi State. It's northwestern Nigeria. So the town is the seat of Agogo Emirate and home of the largest fishing festival in Africa. The people are really warm and really, really receptive as well. Let's go to the next one, please. Okay, so let's talk about a little history of how the festival came about. So the Agogo Fishing Festival began in 1934. This was even before Nigeria gained independence. Yeah, so
Oh, I feel like we've lost Steph for a little bit. Is that right? Okay, let me just stop sharing for a second. Okay. ちょっとステフがもしかしたらコネクションが悪くて、ちょっと止まってしまったので、そうですね。そのうちに maybe we can just continue with a different presentation and then check back into Steph's when we're back. So the next one would be Claire's. And you can't see my screen. I will, just keep if you could open also the presentation on your side, and then I'll just go to the next one as you tell me to. So,
Perfect, thank you.
yes, of course. So let me.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Claire and I'm from South Africa, but I've been living in Sweden for a little while. And today I would like to talk to you also about the Swedish Spring Festival of Walpurgis. So firstly, where is Sweden? I would like to just give you a quick overview quickly. So it's situated in Northern Europe, and it's a very beautiful country. It's known for its beautiful mountains, lots of snow, lots of beautiful forests, and also the Swedish tradition of fika, which is a special way of having coffee, essentially. So you might ask, why is spring such a big thing in Sweden? So just wanted to show you a few pictures of what winter is like in Sweden first, just so that you can see a bit of the contrast. There is very little sun, lots of dark and cold, and lots of snow. In fact, in some places in Sweden, the sun doesn't even shine. So it really shows how much people can really appreciate it when spring does come, because it's a lot warmer. So this is the what spring looks like. So as you can see why they get excited, we also have lots of blossoms, and we have a lot of little white flowers on the ground called snowdrops. But now, to talk about Walpurgis, it's also known as a Valborg in Swedish, and it is celebrated on the 30th of April. In Sweden, the word Valborg is very much associated with a big bonfire. So it had its origins in the Middle Ages, when Germans brought this tradition to Sweden all the way from Germany. So Walpurgis was the name of a saint, which is a very good person, that lived in Germany, and her feast day happened to coincide with May Day, so that people think, okay, maybe that's where this festival got its name from. But May Day has actually been a celebration in Europe for a very long time, and it also used to be the like financial year end in Europe. So often farmers and workers would celebrate almost the start of a new year on the 30th of April going into the 1st of May. It also happens to be in Sweden the Swedish king's birthday. So all in all, there's a lot of reason to celebrate. But now let's talk a bit more about what you can expect from a Walpurgis celebration. So firstly, you might start out your day with a champagne and strawberries breakfast. It's a big celebration for students. So especially in the south of Sweden, a lot of students go down and they celebrate with all of the young people in the south, and they see it very much as an opportunity to party the whole evening and going into the night. So there is also, initiated by the students, they also have a river rafting competition, which they quite enjoy, and it looks like a lot of fun, where they design their own rafts, and then they can see who can get the furthest distance in the shortest amount of time. And then there's also many other activities throughout the day. So they make a big bonfire, you can expect a performance from a choir, and the atmosphere is very similar to that of, I would say, like a music festival. Yeah. Something that is my personal favorite about this time of the year in Sweden is the cow release ceremonies that happen throughout the country. So Valborg, or Walpurgis, is also supposed to be round about the time when the animals are let out for the summer. So all winter long, these animals have been kept inside the barn because it's too cold for them to be outside. So they've been kept nice and warm and being fed inside the barn, but they haven't seen the sun, and they haven't been able to go outside since the previous year, actually. So it's a tradition in Sweden that when they let the cows out of the barn, they have a whole ceremony around it. So you can actually go and watch. You can buy lots of milk and dairy products, and you can see the joy that these cows feel when they are finally free and are able to run around again. I often feel like the cows act how I look, act how I feel, sorry, when it comes to excitement for spring. Moving on, so let's talk more about the bonfires that Walpurgis is famous for. So this is probably the biggest thing that you will see, and the sure way to tell that there's a Walpurgis festival happening. So the bonfires have many different explanations for how this is associated with this festival. The first one is that Walpurgis also translates to Witches' Night. So it was thought to be a night when witches were meeting. other people also thought that there's a lot of evil spirits that are active on this night. So the bonfires were lit to try and keep the evil spirits away. A more practical explanation is also just that with the animals all now roaming around outside happy and free, to scare away any predators or potentially hungry animals, they would put the bonfires up so that they would scare them away, especially foxes and things like that. So although there's many different stories, the main thing is that just that there's a big celebration, and the bonfires are there. And then also, what you can expect to taste food-wise from this kind of festival is nettle soup, which is something that is quite unusual. So I'm not sure if you can see the picture.
Sorry, just give me a second. I don't know why my screen share stopped. Da-da-ba-da. We'll be right back. So, let's.
Thank you, Maya. All right, thank you. So the nettle soup, as I was saying, so the reason that the nettle soup is so popular is just that after all the snow has been around, the nettles are actually weeds. But after all the snow has melted, they are the first plants to pop up out of the ground, and they just can be found everywhere in Sweden. So people harvest it while the shoots are still young and tender, and then they make a soup out of it. And the soup is actually naturally very high in iron, so it's very good for you and very healthy and quite comforting for the might be a little bit chilly kind of spring evening. But you do have to watch out because these nettles are actually stinging nettles, which means that they will give you a nasty rash, which can be quite itchy and red. So when you harvest these, you need to make sure that you're wearing gloves. Something else you can expect to eat on wild purchase is korv or hot dogs. So the Swedish people love to take advantage of the warmer weather and they'll have any excuse to have a barbecue outside. So you will often see them making this, and there'll be then a lot of little fires around the big bonfire where you can easily just either roast your own or maybe negotiate with somebody if you can trade them to have a hot dog. But this is perfect food for the celebration because it's easy to cook and easy to eat. Something else that the Swedish people love to do for spring is sing. So it makes sense that there are lots of local choirs that take this opportunity to show off their skills and to give a concert for everyone on Wild Purchase Day. So this tradition is actually a bit more of a recent one, and it has been attributed by the students in the south of Sweden who have kind of claimed this festival for their own. Traditionally, it always used to be a men's choir, but now lots of women take part too. And they sing the same songs all over Sweden. So they sing about the warmer days coming and summer and the end of winter. And this can actually be kind of ironic when you think that in some places this time of the year it's still busy snowing, while in the south it's actually properly spring. But wherever you are, you can expect to be very well entertained. The next day is very one of the best things I think about Wild Purchase is that the next day is also a holiday, so you have the chance to sleep in, and yeah, I think that is one of the reasons that the students go all out for this kind of celebration. Yeah. That's the reason that this is actually a day off is that it's Labor Day in Sweden. So it means that a lot of students and workers or unions or any organizations, they take the opportunity to demonstrate and march and make their voices heard on this day. So in the picture you can see there's some people, and their white caps are actually the things that identify them as students. That is very traditionally worn by students in Sweden. In Stockholm, on this day, you can also maybe catch the royal procession and see the king and the queen and the royal family. But in general, many people take this day completely off, either to just sleep in or to take the opportunity to go and fight for a cause that they really believe in. And then lastly, just a look behind the scenes about what happens during spring in Sweden is that a lot of communities and families also see this as a way to improve their neighborhoods. So they will often get together and shovel up all of the grit that's left behind after all the snow has melted. So they take this also to clean up and to make sure that the neighborhoods are looking nice and pretty again. But yes, thank you so much. Let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Claire.
Thank you.
This was really beautiful. I'm sorry it stopped midway. I'm not sure what happened there.
Sorry.
But this is all it's such a great way to have different, like not just like the singing, but also like different kinds of food that you eat, as well as getting together for like the spring cleaning, I guess, because I know like I've lived in colder places before, and I suppose that the roads are covered in ice, like have been covered for like the past like months and months. So once you can see the road again, you kind of have to clean it up a little bit.
Very true. I've never
Yeah.
depended so much on that gravel that they throw out on the ice, because otherwise you just slip so easily.
It is, but then that piles up, right? And then like after it, everything melts. You are left with that, I guess. So thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you found your way back, Steph. We'll get back to your presentation after this. We just did Claire's in between, so thank you for coming back. Let's just look at a couple of comments we got. So for Claire's presentation, one person wrote, even in winter, it's really beautiful. I want to see the aurora. And another person also really loved the cow release. I would love to see like a video of it. It's just like sounds already so joyful.
It's such
Have
a
you ever seen
quirky.
it like in person?
I have. I'm actually really amazed that these cows can move like that. They look like such big, solid animals, but then when they're free, it's just, it's incredible how flexible they actually are to be able to jump and move like that.
Like little calves. That's really cute. Yeah, and then another person also wrote, yeah, I can feel their joy from being free from the oppressive life of winter. Which
I can relate to that.
very relatable. And then also some comments about how delicious the food looks, the nettle soup and the hot dogs. Another person is asking, what is the symbol of the arrival of spring in Sweden? Is it the nettle? Do you know?
It's actually the snowbells. So you can kind of see them a little bit in the picture of the spring, but they're very small little white flowers that kind of pop out of the ground. Normally when you see that happening, then you're like, okay, spring is officially here now.
I see. That's good to know. Yeah, everyone is really interested in the food. Another person's also saying they're craving the sausages. And also another person wanted to know the recipe for the nettle soup. I guess you can, yeah, that would be good. And I'm not sure what nettle is in Japanese, but I don't think it's much of a thing here because in Europe it's quite common, right? And you're as a child kind of taught to not touch it. Another person is saying that they're having nettle tea every night for their hay fever, their pollen allergies. I didn't know that's a thing, so maybe that could help anyone else to have like some nettle tea. Yeah. Does anyone else from other tutors have like a comment or like a question for Claire, or are we good so far? Okay, we'll get back to that later, and then I would like to go back to Claire's presentation. I think we were on page 4 of your presentation. So let's just get back to that. And yeah, Claire, if you could just take it off once you see the screen share. Yes, Steph, sorry. Are you there, Steph? Is everything okay?
Yes, everything's fine. Yeah, I'm so
Okay,
sorry
great.
about before. My connection went off.
No worries. Thank you.
Okay, so I was talking about the history of the Agogo Fishing Festival. So it began in 1934, and that was before Nigeria gained their independence. So the reason for the festival was because of the hostility between Sokoto Caliphate and the Kebbi Kingdom. So these two kingdoms were actually really powerful kingdoms. So they used to fight a lot for power. They used to engage in a lot of wars at the time. And they thought to themselves, okay, why don't we call a truce? Why don't we put an end to all the fighting and all the war? And after that, they called a truce, and the Agogo Festival became the result of that unity. So ever since then, it has been celebrated, and it has been a celebration of life and unity. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so we have the river where the fishing festival actually takes place. So there's usually a river sacrifice that happens before the festival itself. So before the commencement of the fishing festival, the custodian of the river is usually called Sakin Rua. So Sakin Rua is just a title given to the custodian of the river. So the Sakin Rua usually ensures the river is safe by performing some sacrifices to the river. And it's believed that there are usually gods in charge of the river. So the Sakenruwa will usually do a sacrifice, like you can see in the picture, he and his men, they go in a canoe and pour certain things into the river just to ensure that it's safe and also to, dispel wild animals on the river. Okay, let's see the next slide, please. Okay, so let's know a little about who the Sakenruwa is. So, like his father before him, the Sakenruwa is the official custodian of the Matafada River. So, the Matafada River is actually the name of the river where the fishing competition takes place. Okay, so it's his responsibility to actually um, um, cleanse the river, perform the rites, the rituals. And it is believed that if the second ruler does not consent or does not perform that sacrifice, there won't be any fish in that river. So to ensure the river is safe for fishing, it does that sacrifice, dispels crocodiles, and then invites all the fishes in other rivers surrounding the Matafada River. So all the fishes in other rivers, they all come to the Matafada River where the fishing festival is going to hold. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's learn a bit about the Matafada River. So the river is a source of pride of the people of Agogo. It serves as a source of food and irrigation for their farmlands, and it's about 50 meters wide and 50 feet deep. So from the picture, you can see how wide the river looks, and it's actually really, really deep. And a lot of people, thousands of people come every year to witness the festival. Let's go to the next slide, please. So, um, the fishing competition is usually what everybody looks forward to during the festival, and there are certain rules attached to the fishing competition. One of the rules is that only men are allowed to compete in the competition. Right? The Kebi people believe that women are not meant to do such kind of things because it's their culture that the men are the ones to do the fishing, the hunting, tilling the farm and all of that, while the women stay home, take care of the home and the family and the kids. So the other rule, the second rule, is that all competitors must use traditional fishing gear, namely hang nets and gourds. So from the picture, this calabash-looking thing is called a gourd, and that is what is used for fishing, and also the traditional net. So it's not the conventional fishing materials at all. They are locally made, and that is what is expected of every participant for the competition. So the third rule of the competition is that competitors have exactly 1 hour to catch the biggest fish they possibly can. So this is where it all gets interesting. Everybody's looking out for the biggest fish. All the competitors are going into the river trying to get the biggest fish. And lastly, the man who successfully does, win the biggest fish or catches the biggest fish wins the competition. And as at when I prepared this, I didn't know that the equivalent has actually increased. So as at the last festival, the winner left with about an equivalent of $13,000 as a cash prize, and also went with 2 cars and a trip to Saudi Arabia. So the winner gets a lot of goodies. So everybody's really excited, about the competition. Okay, let's see the next slide, please. Okay, yeah. So the competition begins. Yeah. So at first, a gunshot is fired to call the attention of the participants. And once the gunshot has been fired, everybody starts to race towards the river, gets into the river and begins to search for fish. And then everybody is trying to get the biggest fish in the river. Let's see the next slide, please. Okay. Yeah, so another interesting part of this festival and the competition is that aside from the fishing competition, while the fishing competition is going on, there's actually going to be music and reading, around. There are going to be a lot of spectators watching the fishing competition. So we have this particular men, you know, going about creating music with their drums. So as the fishermen leap into the water, the drummers begin to beat their drums, filling the air with authentic Kebawa traditional rhythm. So this Kebawa traditional rhythm is very peculiar to the people of Kebbi State. And these particular drums you can see in the picture is the highlight of the Kebawa entertainment. Without those drums, they can't have those entertainments. So you have people that are drumming, that are making music, just to ensure that everybody is happy, there's singing, there's dancing, and the fishermen are doing their own, fishing and everything. So nobody's left out. Okay, so the women, remember the women are not allowed to participate in the competition, but they are not left out. There are other aspects of the competition that the women are allowed to participate in, and one of them is the Kabawa entertainment. So, since the women can't go into the water, they share the men, they do the singing, they do the drumming, they do the entertaining aspect. So everybody is happy and everybody is really looking forward to the person that is going to catch the biggest fish. So the women also are in charge of displaying the agricultural produce and some other aspects of the festival. Okay, can we see the next slide, please? Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't ask for. Okay, so this is the slide about the women. So this is the drum. It's usually made from cow skin. So this drum is locally made by locals in Kebbi State, and they really love it. They love the sound that comes from the drum. It's one of the major things in their culture and in their music. Okay, let's see the next slide, please. Yeah, here comes the action of the competition. Here we're going to be seeing how the fishing usually takes place. So over 50,000 fishermen from northern Nigeria and surrounding countries participate in the fishing competition annually. Okay, so here we have the first picture. We can see a fisherman carrying their catch out of the river, even though the picture is not showing us the fish, but we'll get to see the fish, very soon. So we see the next picture of a fisherman floating on his board while searching for a catch. So this is how it's done. They lie on the gourd and they use their nets to search for the fish in the water. And then we have another picture where the fisherman is checking his catch. So it's possible that the fisherman catches a small fish. Once they see it's small, of course, they take it back into the water and search for a bigger one. So that search keeps it continues, and they only have 1 hour to catch the biggest fish. So the pressure is usually really high. Okay, let's see the next slide, please. Okay, so part of the action is that the sacking rower and its drummers move into the water, and they move to and fro the Matafada River on their canoes, entertaining the fishermen as they search the river for the winning fish. So fish in Hausa is called Giwan Riwa. Fish in Hausa is called Giwan Ruwa. So most of the time, the sacking Ruwa gets into the canoe with his men and his drums, and they begin to beat their drums, trying to entertain the fishermen while they're fishing, so they are trying to cheer them on, get them inspired, get them encouraged, and they do that all around the river. Okay, so another picture here, we have people that spectate, people that watch the competition. So whenever a fisherman catches a big fish, of course he can't carry the fish alone. So we have people from the spectators come to help them carry the fish out of the river. Let's see the next slide, please. Okay, so the competition come to an end. So the winner, let's see how the winner is detected. So the Giwa Rua, which is the fish from the Matafadan River, can weigh up to 75 kilograms. And whoever is able to catch the biggest fish in terms of weight wins the grand prize. And of course, serious bragging rights. So, for the Kebbi men, they like to pride themselves in their achievements, in their successes. And this particular festival is one major way they like to brag. They like to tell everybody in the entire town, I won the competition, and then they brag about it. And of course, everybody lets them do that because they earned the bragging right. And we can see the picture of 3 men, and these 3 men actually caught really big fish. But then there's usually a scale, a scale where they put the fish to get the weight of the fish. And whichever fish weighs the highest actually wins the competition. So for the last competition, the fish weighed 75 kilograms, which is equivalent to, or is more than 165 pounds. So the fish are usually really big and really heavy. So like I said earlier, the last competition, the winner went home with 10 million naira, which is about $13,000, and 2 cars and a trip to Saudi Arabia. So the people of Kebbi State, they look forward to this particular festival so much. It's well talked about. It's really popular in Nigeria and outside of Nigeria. And every year we all look forward to it. So yeah, so thank you so much. This is the end of my presentation. I'd like to have questions. If you have questions, comments. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Steph. It was really beautiful. We got a lot of questions as well. One of the
Okay.
first things I'm sort of wondering about is
Yeah.
what happens to the winning, like what happens to all the fishes that are caught and like the winning fish? Do they like eat them or?
Definitely. That's another part people look forward to. They eat it as a community, everybody together. They slice them, roast the fishes, and then everybody just eats. And it's really, really beautiful to watch. Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
it's
So like
eating
after
like
the fishing, you sort of celebrate your
yeah,
catches.
I celebrate. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's really nice. So let me get into some comments that we got. First we got a question. When exactly was it in February or?
It's usually 4 days. Sometimes it gets into March. So it holds between February 20, end of February 26th towards the first, 2nd of March,
Ah, okay.
mostly.
And also a person was asking what kind of fish are like quite common in Nigeria. Do you know
What kind of
yeah, what
fish?
type of fish it is?
Not well. We have tilapia.
Mhm.
Tilapia fish is really common in Nigeria. Although there are lots of other fishes, I don't really know their names. there are lots of fishes. I'm not familiar with the names of every fish in Nigeria, but then
Yeah.
we have a variety of fish: catfish, the Argentina fish,
Oh, okay.
a lot of them.
なるほど。なんか、ティラピアとかが多いらしいですね。日本語ではカワスズメですかね。Yeah, just had to look up. I forgot what it was in Japanese. Thank you for that. And
Okay.
yeah, someone else was also asking about, yeah, how the fish is distributed. But you were saying, yeah, that everyone just gets together and eats all of them. Have you also like personally participated in that before? Like,
No, I haven't. I've just watched it on TV. You know, it's always broadcast on TV live during the festival. So I've not been there personally. It's quite far from where I live, so I've not really been there to experience it.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. So they have like TV coverage and everything.
Definitely, you can check it up on YouTube. There's a lot of coverage on YouTube. You want to watch it?
Oh, okay. I should look into that.
Yeah.
And yeah, we also got some comments about that. Yeah, like I can't believe that they caught these huge fishes, which honestly, they're gigantic. And
Really
it's really impressive, especially because the water is so like muddy, I guess. Like it's
muddy.
not super clear. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it must be really hard to find the yeah, just catch the fish generally. And then when someone else also wrote, I've never seen such kinds of gourds to see them float on the
Guards.
water and yeah, and search for fish is like really interesting to see. But yeah, that's I mean, it's a really limited time as well. You only have an hour, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, I'd like to move on to our last presentation for today, which is Peter's. Thank you for waiting, Peter. And I will just start sharing your presentation now, and you can take it from here.
Okay, so good evening, everybody, and thank you for the last presentations. They are some hard acts for me to follow. They say save the best till last, but I don't know that that will be the case this time. So I'd like to begin this lesson with some Cambodian language, which I'm not very good at, I must admit. Chuchinam Tamai, which translates to enter the new year. Now, you might know New Year is in January the 1st. Some of you might know about the Lunar New Year or Chinese New Year in January or February. In Southeast Asia and parts of India, New Year is celebrated in the middle of April. Could we go to the next slide, please, Mayor? So I'm living in Cambodia. I've lived here for quite a few years now, 12 years. Cambodia is bordered by Thailand, Vietnam, and Laos. It's a very hot country. Today it's been 37 degrees. It's now getting dark. It's evening time here, and still 34. So, excuse me, my throat is a bit dry. The population of Cambodia it's very small, only just under 17 million people, which is probably about the same as the Kanto region in Japan, so Tokyo, Yokohama, Kamagawa, etc. The language is called Khmer in English, but Khmer in the local language, and it has a very interesting, unique flag. And on the flag, in the middle, is a symbol of Angkor Wat, which is a very famous Buddhist temple, and actually the largest religious site in the world, which is in the northwest of Cambodia. As you can maybe see on this map, it is very close to India and China, and has been called part of Indochina before. So it takes a lot of culture from both of these former very strong powers, so especially religion and culture. Next slide, please. So Khmer or Cambodian New Year is a 3-day festival. It's a tradition not only in Cambodia, but in many South and Southeast Asian cultures. just over the border in Thailand, it's also their New Year. Myanmar, Sri Lanka, other places like that. Now, it is based on the solar New Year, which is when the sun directly passes overhead and heads into the Aries star constellation. And we've been talking a lot about spring today. Claire told you about the snow in Sweden. Here, it's no snow, no cold, just 2 seasons, hot and wet. And April, this time of year, is the hottest time of the year in Cambodia. And as we can see on this picture, this is the King of Heaven, who is known as Mohaprom, and his daughters surrounding him, who are all angels. And we will come to the angels a little bit later. Could we have the next slide, please? So as I said, no winter seasons over here, just a very, very long dry season, and then a 6-month monsoon or rainy season. Rice is very, very important to Southeast Asian culture, and the New Year is the end of the harvest time, and when the rains come, it's time to get back into the fields and start planting next year's rice crops. So you can see the difference on the left, very dry, very dusty. On the right, everything turns very green in the next few weeks as the rains come. Next one, please. Cambodia follows the Chinese zodiac, similar to, I believe, Japan does. And this year is the year of the rabbit. I don't know what year you are. I am a goat myself. Next slide, please. So the first day of the year is called Moha Songkran. It's the first day and the beginning of a new year. Every year, a new angel, who we saw in the previous slides, descend from heaven to replace the year angel from last year. Every year she rides a different animal and holds different things in her hand. This year she is riding on a buffalo, and her name is the angel Kimira Tevi. She will ride down on a buffalo with a zither, a kind of traditional instrument, and a sword. And this year her lucky fruit is a banana. Okay, next slide, please. The second day of the festival is called Virak Vanabat. This is the big party day. People travel from all over the country, from the cities, to go back to their home villages to eat, drink, and pay respects to their elderly relatives. So gifts, especially money, are given to parents, grandparents, uncles and aunties by the younger people. And in the evening, people go to the pagodas, which are the Buddhist temples, and construct giant sand castles in the temple grounds. And on these temples, sand castles, they pray for a long and happy life. Okay, next one, please. And the third day of the festival is called Virak Long Sak. It's the final day, and first of all, in the morning, people wash statues of Buddha, either in their home or at the pagodas. And then an interesting ceremony, older people, such as parents, will kneel down, and the younger people will pour water on them from behind in a ceremony called Srok Dak. Srok Dak is designed to ask for parents' forgiveness for the wrong things that the children have done to their parents in the previous year. Okay, next one, please. Water is very, very important in Cambodian New Year and Thailand Songkran. There are just amazing water fights. They are huge. The whole city's closed down. Fire trucks come out and spray fire engine water. people ambush you in the street with buckets of water. Every child has some sort of water gun. So if you go outside, prepare to be wet and make sure your cell phone or your money is all safely wrapped in plastic, because there is no staying dry at this time of year. Okay, next please. There are many, many different traditional games that are played in the villages and at the schools before the schools have the holiday. Some of these you will probably recognize as being international games. The bottom left is a pot full of ash, and the player has to try to hit the pot of ash with bamboo whilst blindfolded. But if he wins, the winner gets covered in ash, so it's not a good game to win. Then we have sack racing, which I guess you're familiar with, and eating fruit without your hands. Okay, next one, please. There is also a traditional dance which takes place in the villages, which is called Robon Trot. It features monsters, a hunter, and different forest animals in different costumes. And the dance trot means to cut or cutting off. So it symbolizes the end of the new year, which gets cut away, and a new year beginning. And these dancers will go around the village. On the left-hand side, you might see an orange bag. This orange bag is passed around to collect money from the villagers for the dancers. Lots of money changes hands at this time of year. Okay, next, please. And this is actually famous in my local area of Cambodia, cow and ox racing. So these cows are working in the fields during the wet season. After the harvest is in, the farmers eat and then Hello? Hello, am I back?
I think you're back now, yes.
Okay, apologies. So just the last slide then, please, Mayor.
Yes, are you able to see it?
I can see it, but it's on
Okay.
limited. Okay, so that concludes my very brief presentation for today. So I'd like to wish everybody around the world a very happy Songkran. May you be healthy and prosperous, and good luck in the year of the rabbit to you and all your family. Akunchanan.
Thank you so much. This was, again, very illuminating. And let me stop this first. Yes, thank you, Peter. There's a lot of things that I'm quite curious about, to be honest. And I would like to go through some comments first, but I don't want to hold anyone for too long. One question I had that was also asked in the comments is, do you know how this, the lucky fruit is chosen? For example, this banana, and why?
It's a very complicated system. Cambodia is a Buddhist country, but a different branch of Buddhism than is known in Japan and China. It's a type of Buddhism called Theravada, which has mixed Hindu influence, a little bit of Chinese influence, and kind of magic influence. So the things are chosen by the palace astrologers, fortune tellers, who choose each year what time by looking at the sun and the stars, and it's a very complicated, I'd say scientific, but it's not a really scientific process, but it's chosen by the
There's a system in place.
Yeah.
I see. Thank you for sharing that. So have you gotten wet at all during these like water street water fights or like?
In previous years, very wet. Fortunately, it doesn't actually begin officially until tomorrow. So tomorrow is when you have to be careful
I
of being
see.
ambushed.
So if you want to leave the house, you have to be aware of that.
Yes, lots of
I
plastic
see.
wrapping.
Yeah, put your phone in a Ziploc bag and everything. Sounds really important. Yeah, someone mentioned that it's quite really interesting, a little bit similar to the sports day that we have in Japan because there's so many different activities that are done, which I also think so. And then another person mentioned that young people give money, gifts to the older people at like New Year's. That's like how it's an interesting concept because in Japan it's like the other way around. Usually at New Year's, mostly children or like yeah you receive sort of like envelopes of money from the elders until like a certain age, so that's always really interesting to hear about. Yeah, does anyone else have any questions for Peter? Okay. Yeah, if not, then I will quite over time. Thank you everyone for your patience. I would like to just go quickly through everyone and, to kind of go back, introduce yourself and your lessons, what you offer, and also, I'm sure that if anyone wants to book these tutors lessons, then they will be able to give you a little bit more insight on these topics and presentations that they cover today. So yeah, Chris, if you could just kind of tell us a little bit about you and your lessons, that would be great. Thank you. Sorry, I think you're still muted. We'll figure it out.
Okay, yes.
Now you're back.
Right,
Thank
so
you.
I'm native English, but I live in Spain. I've been living here since I was 23, I think, and now I'm much older. So I've been here for a long time. And I teach English language, so I give personalized lessons or just general conversation. Also English for travel. I give pronunciation classes. Anything to do with the English language, really. Short. We talk about short films or any particular grammar problems. So it's more very speaking conversational classes, but I adapt to whatever goals that the student has. Uh, so that's me. I've been teaching for over 10 years, and I love it.
That's great. Thank you so much. 興味あった方はぜひ、there's a link to all of the tutors from this page on as well as on the campaign page, so you can check that out there. Then let's go with the original order that we had. So Steph, if you could tell us a little bit about you, we'll just share your profile as well.
Hi everyone, I'm Stephanie again, and I go as teacher Steph on Cafetalk. So I do a lot of variety of courses or lessons. I am a social worker and I'm a certified counselor, so I do a lot of counseling, both Christian counseling and professional counseling. I do premarital counseling, relationship counseling, talk therapy. I also do classes on emotional intelligence. Yeah, so I do a bit of conversational English. We want us to talk about culture, Nigeria, Africa in general. We could talk to help your speaking skills and your listening skills. Yeah, so basically, I do a lot of counseling. Yeah, so if you need counseling, you want to speak to somebody about your relationship, um, family life, or you're going through things, you need therapy. Yeah, I do that as well. So I've been counseling for over 5 years now. I love counseling. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much. Okay, then we'll continue with Claire.
Hi everybody again. Thank you so much, Mayo, and rest of the tutors. It was really interesting to hear about all the different countries and the festivals happening there. So, like I said, I'm originally from South Africa. I've studied in Sweden, and I love to talk about culture specifically. So Swedish culture, things I've learned from living in Sweden for this past while, as well as my original culture back home from South Africa. So I really enjoy talking about that. All my lessons are in English. And I'm also an occupational therapist. So I do a lot of relaxation techniques. So relax. And then I also just enjoy meeting people and getting to know people better.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll stop that. And then, yes, Peter, yeah, whenever you're ready.
Yep, so hi, I'm Peter. I'm from the UK. I've been living in Cambodia along as me, my hand up like a Buddha, for a very long time, about 13 years now. I live in the Cambodian countryside. I have a farm here and wife and 2 children. I teach general English, basic English, but my specialities would be pronunciation and IELTS training and interview techniques and mock interviews. But I'm happy to do anything really. No main skills like the other 2 ladies with occupation therapy, but I can chat, I guess. And that's all for me, really.
Okay, thank you. And you also offer lessons about Cambodia. I see. That's
Oh yes,
also really
of course.
interesting.
I'm a history fan. So history and culture are my
Oh,
my
that's
passion.
lovely. Yeah, you must have a lot of you've been living in Cambodia for so long. That must also really help.
It's an interesting place.
Yeah. Well, I'm really interested. Thank you everyone so much. I feel like we've had a really great balance as well of colder places and really warm places. And yeah, just to see how everyone kind of celebrates either the end of the winter or as well as in Cambodia, it being the hottest month of the year. So that's quite interesting as well. Yeah, thank you everyone so much for your time. Thanks everyone for tuning in. And if you want to check it out, you can watch it on YouTube later on as well. Yeah, please be sure to check out all the tutors that we had here today. And thank you everyone for joining me. And yeah, have a good day or a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.